I was trying to figure out a way that we might be able to pull this off. And then we connected with Sustainable CT, and it just opened up all the possibilities.
Welcome, everyone, to the April 2024 edition of The Impact, a Sustainable CT podcast, for your edification, your enlightenment, and your entertainment too. I'm Torin Radiccioni, sitting in this month for Jim Hunt, who you can still blame for this podcast, but no matter who's behind the big microphone, we always want to hear from you for our edification and enlightenment. Drop us a note, won't you, to info@sustainablect.org. The Impact is brought to you in part by the Connecticut Green Bank. The Connecticut Green Bank confronts climate change by increasing and accelerating investment into Connecticut's green economy to create more resilient, healthier, and equitable communities. And we are oh so glad that they do. Visit them at ctgreenbank.com. Remember, Sustainable CT is independently funded. We don't have a magical money tree or a pot of gold sitting at the end of a rainbow. No, sir. But you can be a Sustainable CT sponsor. Find out how at sustainablect.org. Good morning, folks. I'm very happy to be joined by Michael Aitkenhead and his band of amazing students, Ryan Gortz, Emily Kolodny, and Brandy Zinkel. And they're coming to us from their classroom at Weston High School in beautiful Weston, Connecticut. Go Trojans! Michael Aitkenhead has been an environmental teacher since 2004. He first taught at Staples High School in Westport, where he was named Teacher of the Year in 2010, and has taught at Weston High School since 2018, where he was named Teacher of the Year in 2022. Michael believes in experiential learning both inside and outside the classroom. Locally, he's collaborated with countless community organizations to inspire his students to participate firsthand in community action. And from 2009 to 2017, he was a co-founder and director of the Wakeman Town Farm, which is an educational farm and sustainability center in Westport. And for the past 15 years, he's taken students to Latin America with the Builders Beyond Borders organization. Very cool. Just a little bit more about the town of Weston and Weston High School. Weston High School was actually selected a National Green Ribbon School by the U.S. Department of Education in 2019, a selective designation given to a handful of schools each year that encourage education on the environment and promote sustainability. So congratulations to you guys for that. Michael, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure to be here. Thanks.
With Mike today, like I said, are Ryan Gertz, Emily Kolodny, and Brandy Zinkel, all students and all seniors at Weston High. Great for all of you to be joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We wanted to check in with Mike and his students today to talk about a really cool project they have going on at Weston High School, a project that is supported by Sustainable CT's Community Match Fund. Ryan, why don't you start us off by telling us about the project, what it is, and how you became involved with it?
Yeah, so we always had this idea that we wanted to create a pollinator garden in one of our courtyards. At school, we have, I think, 3 courtyards, one of which is used as like a community space where people eat lunch, another one that's kind of more the same purpose, and then one that we don't really use at all, and it's basically just a strip of grass. So we thought it'd be really cool to create an environment that students could learn in and, make it a prettier space for the school. And I got involved with it through the sustainability class because it's a very project-based class. And that's been kind of my focus for the past few months.
That's awesome, Ryan. From what it sounds like, especially in our conversations previously, it seems like this project was mainly student-led. Emily and Brandy, please feel free to talk about your roles in this project as well.
Yeah, so all of us, we're kind of a team here. We sort of did and made a lot of projects to kind of get the idea out and for the students around to also become involved and donate and kind of get excited about what we were creating, which we were also excited about. So yeah, just a lot of time, and we tried to do the best we could to convey the message and kind of make it seem like this would be such a great addition to our school. So
you're working on this project during your sustainable living class, that's right?
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So talk to us or talk to me more about that typical schedule when you were working on this community match fund project. Were you working on it during school hours? Were you taking some time after school? What did that process and scope look like?
We really do all of the work in class. So in the beginning, it was finding or creating a budget and then meeting with people at Patrioticity to get our campaign running. And then once we got our campaign going, we created a bunch of posters, and Brandy and Uma made some videos and just trying to get community engagement within the school and within Weston. And that all happened during school hours, specifically in the sustainability class.
Yeah. So once we created the campaign, and we're able to set up the website and stuff like that, we really focused on projecting the image and sending out emails so people would know about it and kind of doing stuff like that.
And I think people were definitely working outside of hours. I mean, we also met with the PTO and had them become involved and kind of also get funding from them as well. So we also were able to kind of work it in both ways. So we could do it in class and then as well get help from outside people who would take time out of their days to also give back to us.
Michael, same question. As a professor who teaches a class and also has to manage or help students manage this project, what did that schedule look like for you?
Yeah, so the class is just purely project-based, and each year we try to do one large-scale project. Last year we built a large garden shed, and this year we decided to take on the monumental task of transforming this courtyard into a sustainable learning facility for our students. So we brainstormed a bunch of ideas about how we might go forward and what this might cost. But with all sort of big projects like this, there's the actual physical work, but then there's the fundraising, how are we going to pay for this? So that's where these ladies really took the lead. Different students were given different roles, but this particular team was given the task of, you guys are responsible for paying for this. And that's pretty much all I said. Through a mutual connection, we were able to link up with Sustainable CT, which was just an amazing partnership. But from that point on, the girls, as they noted, they met with Patronicity to learn how to set up the campaign. And then they just took the lead as well in marketing this whole project to the community. And I have to say, I was really not sure how successful we'd be, but it's been an overwhelming success. So, and I attribute all that to the efforts that they put in. They did a great job conveying the message about the project within our school, but they also did really well in getting the word out to our overall community. And we've had a lot of people from outside the school reach out to make donations to make this project possible.
Wow, that's an amazing job, you guys, especially from the idea that the fundraising of this project was all based on student empowerment for the ability to connect with the other people of the Weston community. Great job. Speaking of promotion and publicity, what were the reactions to your peers and your parents and the people that you were connecting with when you told them that you were dedicating time to this project? Did they think it was odd? Did they think it was cool? Did they really want to get on board with the idea of a pollinator garden? Tell me more about that.
I think, at least for me, I think parents were a little bit more oh, this is so awesome. This is so cool. And I think students, originally were kind of wait, what? What are you trying to do to the garden? Or trying to make a garden? I feel like we had to try a little bit to be no, this is what we're going to do. And it's going to be super cool. And then people were a little bit more accepting. So I think in the beginning, the ball was kind of slow rolling. But once we got it going, we had a lot of momentum.
Brandy and Emily, same reactions amongst your peers as well?
Yeah, I showed my parents the video that Uma, she can't be here, but we made a couple videos kind of advertising the whole idea and the posters, and they thought it was super interesting. That not only did they donate on top of my donation, but they also sent it to their friend groups and other communities, or the adult basketball league that happens in the high school, which I assume a lot of people don't even know about, but they do walk past the courtyard. So, it's beneficial for also other people as well, not only the students, but whoever else is in the building.
So yeah, a great benefit holistically to the Weston community, even though it resides mainly in Weston High School. That's great. So you guys, and I want to plug for the listeners at home, they're about $50 away from completely crowdfunding. So if you have the opportunity, please take the time to visit their community match fund page. But you all have been involved in the crowdfunding process. So I want to ask, what are some of the challenges to implementing and crowdfunding a community match fund project?
I definitely think one of the challenges is connecting with the community in terms of like marketing. What Brandy was saying before, I think when we were just making like posters and putting them up, everyone would just kind of walk by them. But then when we made like videos that, had some like comedy like bits in it that would like engage people our age, then people were like, oh, wait, what is that thing? Like we should pay attention to that, which was something that we realized.
Yeah, I would say at the beginning too, we reached out to a few organizations that we thought might be supportive of our project, and they kind of gave us a good start. And then there was a bit of a lull where it was hard to kind of start to build the interest. But I feel like then we got over this initial period when, as Ryan said, the videos went out, we had some social media posts, and then there were certain parents and other organizations just by word of mouth or sharing the message, as Brandy said, then the momentum just built. And then more people would hear about it, and then they would reach out and want to donate. And I mean, I've been really impressed with how many people that I had no idea we would have reached have just approached us to make an offer or donation, just saying, we really love what you guys are doing and how you're getting the students involved. And they've been very, very generous. So the initial bit was tough, but once we reached that or overcame that first hurdle, it's been a really awesome process.
That's great. As a follow-up, Ryan, Emily, and Brandy, I just have to ask, you said comedy style videos. Like what were those videos? What were in them? What were the content? I'm interested.
So Uma, and we also had another helper, Rowan. We just kind of would go around the school and go up to students actually and be like, did you know this is going on? Like, kind of get them involved. Be like, what is she talking about? What is this crazy girl saying? And we ended up in a green screen, like behind the botanical gardens. We're like, wow, just kind of making people kind of smile and be like, this is kind of cool. Like maybe a garden would be nice. Who knows? And then, I mean, we kind of saw some more students donating and scanning the QR codes and getting more involved and a little bit more interested in letting their parents know. And then we had a newsletter sent out. So it was kind of all a domino effect into kind of where we are now.
Yeah.
So.
Uma's who isn't here today, but she's part of the team. She's kind of like the video editing sort of guru. And yeah, so she kind of had some of the students lounging out with the sunglasses and the pollinator guard, which is not really the intended purpose, but it definitely caught people's attention and, got the message out there. So, yeah.
I know, as a program assistant for Sustainable CT, who mainly deals with communication and objectives and manages Sustainable CT social media, I wish I had more opportunity, and I wish I had more people like you guys on staff to help, advance and acknowledge the content and engagement that's going on in Sustainable CT. But I'm so glad you're doing that through the Community Match Fund. We'll return to our program in just a moment. You've been listening to The Impact, a Sustainable CT podcast. Who Says Earth Day begins and ends on April 22nd. We're officially extending it, at least on our little corner of the Earth, to include April 30th. That's when Brenda Mallory, Waterbury native, and chair of the White House Council on Environmental Quality, will join us with an inspiring Earth Day message. Chair Mallory will be followed by Congresswoman Johanna Hayes, representative of CT District 5, and Senator Richard Blumenthal, a truly stellar lineup. Registrants will have the opportunity to ask questions about their approach to improving, preserving, and protecting America's public health and environment. So please do register at sustainablect.org for this special event for Tuesday, April 30th at noon. And while you're registering, be sure to let us know what questions you would ask our guests. And there are more good things happening in the spring. Join us on June 11th for our Spring into Summer celebration at Wickham Park in Manchester from 4 to 7 p.m. This is going to be a very special event because we'll be saying farewell to our founder and executive director, Lynn Stoddard. So you do not want to miss it. Register to attend, where else? At sustainableCT.org. That's Wickham Park, Manchester, June 11th, 4 to 7 p.m. And hey, speaking of community match fund projects like we are today with our good friends at Weston High, you know we are so close to surpassing the $4 million mark in community match fund investment in Connecticut communities. Since its inception in 2019, the Sustainable CT Community Match Fund has invested over $3.9 million, yes, million folks, in local projects throughout the state. The Community Match Fund leverages institutional funding alongside community investment in the form of individual small dollar donations to local projects. Each project runs a public crowdfunding campaign to engage the community and secure half the funding needed to complete its work. Sustainable CT then matches every dollar raised. As of today's taping, April 12th, Sustainable CT has committed $1.8 million as a match to more than $2.1 million collected from over 20,000 individual donations. That's a total of, you guessed it, $3.9 million as of April 12th. You can carry us over the $4 million mark. Go to patronicity.com/sustainableCT and take a look at the great projects we're supporting that are active right now. Maybe there's one right in your own town. Make your donation today. Make it count for something that advances sustainability and equity in your neighborhood, in your region, in your state. We will reach that $4 million mark, and it will all be because of you. And if you're inspired to start a project in your town, we are on your side. Contact us at info@sustainablect.org, and we will get you started. And together, we'll be on our way to $5 million in no time. Now, in terms of the challenges to implementing the Community Match Fund project, I do have a follow-up. How has this Community Match Fund process been? And please be as candid as you want. Is there any improvements or suggestions that we can make to help students or any other people have access to this funding?
Honestly, I think it was very, generous of you guys. We did what we could on our end to get the funding we could from, the people who walk past us every day in the hallways and just doing kind of whatever we can to get the funding. So I think that it was a pretty smooth process, I'd say. I don't think we had many hurdles we had to face, and everyone kind of seemed to be understanding of why we needed the funding, what we were going to do with it. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like the website itself, it was a pretty smooth, it wasn't difficult to make a donation. It wasn't oh, you need to make an account and do this and then do all this stuff to give us $10. It was pretty easy for people to contribute.
I'd say I did get a lot of feedback about how honestly easy it was to donate. You could just on Apple Pay it, and it was a one and done kind of thing. So,
and I would say I've had to do various fundraising through a lot of different organizations or different outlets, and I would say Sustainable CT, this has been the easiest process I've experienced. You guys are doing it correctly and doing it well. And the fact that you offered the training to get the website set up with patron, all that was just done very, very well. So not only were you helping us accomplish our tasks, but it was a learning sort of experience too, and all the facets of how to carry out an appropriate fundraiser. And as I mentioned, just the generosity of Sustainable CT. We've had to write grants where we're writing dozens of pages, but Sustainable CT was very open and forthcoming to our project and made it as streamlined as possible for us to move forward. So, yeah, I've loved working with Sustainable CT on this. Much easier than a lot of other things I've tried.
That's great. It's always nice to come into an interview and give yourself a good pat on the back. But let's be honest, a lot of community match fund projects are great, but they don't have this superstar team that I'm interviewing today. which I guess would segue into our next question. What would you say to the next group of students or even your peers that are looking to start their own community match fund project? What would you suggest? Is there anything in that terms of advice that you could provide?
I'd honestly say stay organized. I'd say when we got a little off track. We never really did, but I could see how it would be super easy to mistype a number and then you get something else messed up. It's kind of like a measure twice, cut once kind of thing, like double check everything kind of, but yeah.
And I think also like, don't forget about what you're doing. Like we've been doing this campaign for over, I think it was 60 days total? I'd forget how long exactly, but that's a long time. I mean, we're still running. So it's important to remember like, okay, we sent out all these messages about getting funding in the first 2 weeks. We need to keep doing that, even though that was a month ago. We need to stay on track and keep promoting this.
Yeah, like staying consistent with things we were giving out to.
And we were good at reaching out to some really generous donors. If I could change anything, I would have liked us to see if we can garner a lot more smaller donations just to kind of build the number of people donating to the project. But to that end, there's a community event in our town celebrating Earth Day after our break next week. And so we're hoping to have a table there and just, again, spread the word to perhaps people that weren't aware of our project just yet and maybe garner a couple more small donations that way. But again, the idea is really, it's obviously our goal is to raise the money so we can make this project happen. But by doing this particular fundraising project, we've been forced to share what we're doing with the larger community. So there's a much greater awareness about it. And just the positive reaction of people being like, I had no idea students were doing those sorts of things at the high school. That's just led to more and more interest growing from the outside community into what's being accomplished in this class.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you guys are using the opportunity on Earth Day to connect, the creation and the implementation of the garden with, the benefits and why you're doing it for, greenhouse gas emission reductions, repopulating pollinators and whatnot. Yeah. It's a great thing. Emily, anything that you would like to add? Anything that, you would like to suggest to students or peers that are looking to start their own community match fund project?
Well, specifically through this platform, it's a lot easier than you would think. It's like Brandy said, just make sure you have all your facts straight, make sure you're checking everything, but you can do it. Like it's not so overwhelming that it seems impossible. It's a very feasible way to get funding for a project that you're really passionate about.
So if you could imagine any CMF project addressing the biggest problem or the biggest concern that you guys have in school as sustainable living students, sustainability oriented or not, actually, what would that project be and what would it look like?
It's a hard question. Sorry, I'm thinking.
No, take your time. Take your time. Take your time.
I think an expensive one could be like, I just know our school is pretty big and in the winter it's cold. And I know we do heat the school, kind of crank it up a lot, but maybe lessening like our emissions that way.
Some way to reduce our emissions. Yeah. I mean, I don't think Sustainable CT could fund this, but yeah, if we can get more renewable energy in our school, like that. Maybe some sort of solar, even if it's more of a educational showcase as opposed to a full-blown project, which I don't think Sustainable CT could fund. But yeah, like some sort of sustainable energy to make more people aware of those options. Mm-hmm. Just thinking for myself, because as seniors, these guys are out of here, but I got to start to think what might be possible in future years. We're fortunate on our campus to have a lot of like wooded natural area around our school. So we've thought of maybe turning some of that space into like outdoor classroom spaces where people can go out and just kind of be in a peaceful environment, but still have the opportunity to do some learning. And one of our big accomplishments this year in this class was we convinced our district to do composting in the cafeteria.
Oh, okay, good.
To do that, we've had to hire a company to come and haul the compost off-site to compost it elsewhere. But there are some like possibilities of a system where we can actually do the composting large scale on campus.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about when you mentioned that.
Yeah. And so, that actually is probably like a $14,000-$15,000 project, which I have to say, when I heard that price tag, I said, there's no way that's remotely possible. But who knows? Maybe in a couple of years with sustainable CT, that number is not terribly out of reach. So yeah, it would be great to be sort of one of the first districts to showcase a system where we can actually compost our waste on site and then use the compost for our gardens and other things all in-house.
That's very inspirational. It's crazy that we went from pollinator gardens to now renewable energy and composting, three different completely realms of sustainability. I do want to point out that renewable energy projects and composting projects are fundable through the Community Match Fund. And again, you guys have already initiated the conversation. So Mike, if you ever have any inklings, or even you guys as seniors, as you're moving on, if you ever want to come back to Weston, if you guys are not going to be in Weston, to start your own community match fund project, knowing how the process is simple and streamlined. Since you guys are all seniors on the conversation, and people love to hear about your future plans, what are your plans after Weston High School? Are you planning on pursuing further education? Is it in the field of environmental science? If not, what's catching your ear? What's catching your eye lately?
I am actually staying in Connecticut. I'm going to be going to Connecticut College, which is a small liberal arts college. It has a good environmental science program, which I'm kind of looking into. It has a really big arboretum on campus, so they're really into sustainability efforts there. So I'm kind of intrigued to see what goes on there.
I'm actually going south to Tampa, so I'll be there kind of studying the realm of business, but I hope to get Tampa involved with some sustainable programs. If I don't really think they're very involved right now, but maybe in the future, who knows?
I'm gonna go to Brandeis University, which is just 20 minutes away from Boston, and I'm majoring in environmental studies. And it's a research school, so I really hope to be doing research that pertains to the realm of fixing the environment and helping recover the earth as best we can with the time that we have.
That's amazing. I'm removed 5 years from college at this point, so I always love and I get inspired when you guys are talking about your future plans. Ryan, it's funny that you mentioned this, but I live right next to New London, Connecticut. I'm 10 minutes away from Conn College. I go to their hockey games. It's great. You'll love it. They have a great environmental program. And to Emily and Brandy, it's sad that we're going to be losing you for a period of time in the state of Connecticut, but we hope that you come back. We want you to come back and tell everybody, why you missed it and how Connecticut's this great, amazing place to live.
For sure.
Does this project or even the class itself affect your personal role or view in the idea of sustainability, and how so?
I think this class has given me a lot more perspective on how many little things can fall under the umbrella of a sustainable project. So we're going to build birdhouses and bat houses. And there's also the larger scale things like this garden. And it's been a really great opportunity to actually get involved in change after learning about what is happening in the world.
Yeah, when I was a junior, I took Mr. Aitkenhead's environmental science class, and that really opened my eyes to all of these issues that we're having on our planet. And that made me want to take the sustainability class this year, which has definitely made me feel more involved, in the effort to be more sustainable, even if we're just doing little projects building, again, like Emily said, birdhouses out of reclaimed wood to raise money for different projects that we might be making. Or what we'll do is we take the cans and bottles that everyone uses at school and we sort them, and we have a company that takes it and gives us money back for us recycling our cans and bottles. But to do that, we have to sort through them and do that manual labor. And it's kind of gross sometimes, but it makes you feel okay, I'm doing something that's kind of important, which is nice.
And then those funds go into more projects. So we're not just pocketing the money, but yeah. But they're doing the hard work to raise those funds to make things happen.
Wow, what an inspirational story. This has been an amazing opportunity to get to know you guys a little bit better. Mike, your students are doing some amazing work, with the Community Match Fund, in your sustainable living class. Could you just tell us more about why you became a teacher and what really inspires you about the work that you're currently doing?
When I was about their age, I really got interested in environmental issues. And honestly, like, it's sort of a perhaps childish notion or dream, but I wanted to save the world. And so when I went to college and graduate school, I studied a lot of environmentally related topics and fields, but there isn't exactly a major for saving the world, right? So I was not sure exactly what direction I wanted to go in, but I had some experience teaching and I connected pretty well with high school kids. And so I said, you know what? Maybe my contribution to that goal of improving our situation is just educating that next generation so that they become empowered to make those steps. And this class is only 2 years old, but the real purpose of this class was, Ryan mentioned my environmental course where we learn about the problems and the issues, but then what? Like, how are we actually going to fix it? And for years and years teaching, we would sort of leave that class with this sort of like, well, what now? What are we supposed to do? And a lot of students don't feel like they have it in themselves to make that change. And so part of this class was to empower them to see, like, you can do this. And if it's not you, like, who's going to do it? And if it's not now, when's it going to happen? So you just have to step up, take that action. Not every project you do is going to be like on a global scale, but every little bit that we do contribute helps. And even just in the past 2 years, like with this class and in this school, we were barely getting anything recycled in the school 2 or 3 years ago. And now, all the paper, all the bottles and cans, that's taken care of. We had a greenhouse and a garden that were completely unused and dilapidated, I'm told, for like 15 years. And now that garden and that greenhouse are up and running and growing again. So little by little, just through their action and stepping up, like, we're making some real change. So that's why I became a teacher, is to try to inspire that. And it's been rewarding in this course to, especially like students like these who really have embraced it and taken it to the next level. It definitely gives my career and my life some purpose. So my hat's off to them and my thanks to them.
My figurative hat is off to them too, Mike. You really have created something in Weston that really encourages student empowerment and really puts the efficacy and the responsibility in the hands of the students. And you've really inspired that at Weston High School. So my hat's off to you as an educator as well.
Thank you. Hard work, but it's worth it in the end.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it one bit. Anybody else have any last remarks before we close?
Well, I want to thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you, Sustainable CT. Again, like, the ease of this process and the amount that you guys have offered have really made this project like happen. I was trying to figure out a way that we might be able to pull this off with like $1,000 or $2,000 budget. And then we connected with Sustainable CT and it just completely changed the game and opened up all the possibilities. And it's just been a wonderful process. I've been doing this stuff for like 20 years and it's obstacle after obstacle, and Sustainable CT has sort of like eliminated all of that and made it a really wonderful, enjoyable process. So thank you.
This has been great, guys. I look forward, Mike, to maybe the potential of many more Match Fund projects coming from Weston High School. And girls, I wish you the best of luck in college. It's a great experience, and I hope that you guys will do amazing things like you're already doing amazing things for your high school now.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed today's edition of The Impact, a Sustainable CT podcast. As always, this program is recorded, produced, and copyrighted, you guessed it, by Sustainable CT. Thank you for your interest. Thank you for listening. Thank you to our sponsor, the Connecticut Green Bank. Thanks again to Michael Aitkenhead, Ryan, Emily, and Brandy for all their hard work at Weston High School. Go Trojans! And thanks to everyone for taking local actions that have a statewide impact.